That night, Qasim fell asleep with a question in his heart. The room was quiet, but his thoughts were loud. He had heard people say, if you were in Karbala, whose side would you choose? But he didn't really understand what it meant. As the moonlight fell gently on his sleeping face, something began to happen. A golden mist, soft as a whisper, began to form above him, and slowly, the world around him began to change. His dream was about to take him somewhere sacred. Somewhere where truth and falsehood once stood face to face, where the sands of Karbala still hold the footsteps of the brave. Qasim opened his eyes, but he wasn't in his bedroom anymore. Golden sands stretched far and wide, the sky above painted with the soft glow of dawn. A warm breeze touched his face, and in it, he heard something. The whisper of children. Aladash, Aladash. We are thirsty. And behind it, the sound of Quran, gentle, calm, echoing from a humble tent. Black flags waved slowly over the tents ahead, as if they were calling him. To his right, a quiet camp with simple black tents. A feeling of peace surrounded it. To his left, a large, colorful camp full of noise, music, and laughter. Qasim stood barefoot between the two. He didn't understand everything, but he felt something very deep in his heart. Was this Karbala, the Karbala Mama used to tell him about? He took a small step forward, and the journey began. Qasim walked slowly, led by an old, kind man, Habib ibn Mazahir. His steps were gentle, but his heart felt heavy. They passed by simple black tents covered in dust, yet filled with light. To the right, a young man sat polishing his sword, his face glowing with dignity and peace. Not far from him, a teenage boy was folding a letter with trembling hands, tears falling silently onto the paper. Near a corner, a little girl hugged a dry water bag close to her, her eyes quietly searching the sky. Hassan looked around in awe. There was no fear, only calm. No noise, only prayers. The sound of Quran recitation floated through the air, soft and clear, as if the desert itself was listening. Habib whispered to him, "This is not a battlefield of swords, it is a battlefield of the soul. Every moment here is a choice of love, of loyalty, of truth." Qasim didn't speak. He couldn't. His heart was full and his eyes wet. This was Karbala, not a story, not a lesson, but a living truth. Yazda, Qasim stood still. His footsteps brought him to the other side of the desert. Before him, a grand tent, brightly decorated in red, green, and gold. Soldiers laughed carelessly, dressed in shiny uniforms, plates of food overflowing beside them. Dishes clanked, and comfort danced in the air. One soldier turned, smirking. He stretched out his hand toward Qasim.
"You're just a child. Why suffer? Here, you'll be fed. Here, you'll be safe. You don't have to question anything. Just stay silent."
Qasim looked around. Everything was colorful, luxurious, but something was missing. He couldn't hear the Quran. He couldn't feel peace. There was no light, only shadows behind glitter. His hand didn't move. His eyes didn't blink. Inside his heart, the question echoed louder than all the music around him. Is silence the right choice? And in that moment, the joy in the camp began to feel empty. Laughter sounded hollow, and the soldier's smile became a mask. And then, Qasim stepped away from the noise and walked toward the camp where peace lived. This camp was simple. Its tents were made of humility. Its ground was filled with dust, yet carried the fragrance of sacrifice. As he entered one of the tents, a soft glow surrounded him. Kuan Yin, there, on a prayer mat, was a man in calm, still, and praying. Qasim didn't need to ask. He knew. It was Imam Hussain, alayhi salam. The air was filled with the sound of Quran, melodies of truth, echoing through the silence. From nearby, Qasim could hear the gentle cries of thirsty children, whispers of Alatash, the voice of pain carried by the innocent. Imam Hussain did not speak, but Imam's presence spoke louder than words. Qasim stood still, his eyes filled with tears. He wanted to say something, but his heart was full. In that silence, he heard something greater, voice echoing gently in Qasim's heart. Now Qasim stood in the middle of the desert, between two worlds. His face glowed with a divine light, and yet it was heavy with the weight of what was coming.
Karbala is not just about swords, it's about hearts. Whichever side your heart chooses, that is your Karbala.
Now Qasim stood in the middle of the desert, between two worlds, and one side sparkled with comfort, laughter, and ease. The other stood silent, strong, with black flags waving in the wind. He heard the thirst of the children. He heard the Quran being recited from Imam Hussein's tent. You don't need a sword to fight like Hussein. Your truth, your words, your actions, they are your weapons. And suddenly, he understood. Qasim wakes up, breathing deeply. He rushes to his mama. Mama, I saw Karbala. I was there. I saw everything. And I realized something.
What, my son?
We are already in Karbala. Every day, in school, at home. When we see wrong and stay silent, that's Yazid's camp. When we speak the truth, even when it's hard, we stand with Hussein.
So, if you were in Karbala, which side would you be on? But more importantly, which side are you on today?
Your life is your battlefield. Will you speak for justice? Will you protect the weak? Will you follow the path of truth, even when it's hard?